I learned it a long time ago when I started studying forests that when you do nothing to a forest, that is a management decision. The decision is to do nothing. And so your forest, there's an outcome associated with that decision. So your forest will look a certain way by doing nothing. And a lot of people think, let's just let it go. That's nature's way. Well, nature's way, trees die naturally. Sometimes the trees that we want to die are the ones that die, sometimes they aren't. Sometimes the one that favors certain species or sometimes invasive species get in, and when we let things go, we often don't have an ability to manage the forest in a way that can accommodate multiple resource benefits. So there is harvesting, but it's not to the extent where we're actually at no net gain or we're actually harvesting out more than the tree growing. So you have to think about it in terms of the net effect. So there's both removals and then there's new inputs as the forest grows bigger. It's a lot like climate change in that it's really more of a matter of winners and losers than it is a matter of sort of a cataclysmic loss that everything's going to die. Well, there are some species that will take the place of the oaks when they're gone. It will be different, and it may function in a slightly different way. So having some small amount of harvest and being able to promote regeneration, that would be better than probably doing nothing where the trees are just going to die.
You know, the ruffed grouse is a kind of an indicator species on supposedly on forest health in general, but there's science that is not being considered by the Division of Forestry or by Purdue, that ruffed grouse populations may just naturally ebb and flow. It may have absolutely nothing to do with the amount of early successional forest habitat that's available, but there is evidence that's starting to show that once trees reach their full maturity, they start to sequester carbon again and store it in different areas. Primarily what they do is they transfer it into the soils, and that's what most folks do not look at when they look at a logging operation, is that those soils, once they're disturbed, are going to continue to release carbon for 20 years. Even after you've seen what you've seen as a regeneration growth, that soil, because it was originally disturbed, is still actually leaking carbon into the atmosphere. What IFA is focused on is the late Searle, the old growth habitat, and that is probably the rarest form of habitat where the forest has reached its full maturity. You know, because most of these forests are being cut in 15-year cycles. They're taking trees out as soon as they hit a profitable level. So generally we're anywhere between 40 and 80 years based on the species. Once they get to be a certain diameter where they can actually pull some profit off of that tree, it's removed from, you know, the state forest. So they're saying that, you know, especially on public lands, that there's a lack of this early successional habitat. And that may be true, but it's not true when you look at the forest as a whole. There's not like we really need to be out there actively creating disturbance of the forest.